Hello, my name is Anuska and welcome to my channel. Now, on today's video, I want to talk a little bit about how to gauge your speaking voice. I think this is really important if you are someone that's looking to explore more of the creative potential and possibility in your voice. And maybe you're trying to work out, is this something I can do by myself, or do I actually need to go and find someone, a coach or a teacher, to help me explore my voice? So I say this to basically anyone that will listen to me, and I say this to my clients all the time. It is when working with the voice, it's feeling before sound. And what we tend to do is we are obsessed with how things sound, particularly as a singer, but I think it's also true as a speaker. We listen to our voice. I don't like that. I like that. And then we make decisions about our voice based on the sound. Now, on some level, that is obviously important because that's how everyone is listening to our voice. And so before I start more of this video, I just want to preface this by saying, I do think it's important to listen to your voice, very much so, but maybe not for the reasons you think. Because most people are not that aware of their voice. And so by listening to their voice, they can start to perhaps become more aware of what other people are really hearing, because what we hear in our head is not what anyone else is hearing. And we are the only people that hear our voice the way we hear it. So it's really important in that sense to listen back to recordings of your voice so you can actually start to hear what other people are hearing. And that could be, for example, maybe you talk really fast, maybe you mumble, maybe your pitch is really low and your voice is very raspy, maybe your pitch is very high and very squeezed, maybe you run out of breath and that's very kind of evident in your speech. Whatever it is, I think it's really important that you build that awareness by listening to your voice first. And then you can bring that awareness inside when you start training your voice, because that is the greatest gauge of your voice. The physical experience of your voice is the most important thing when you're training your voice. And what I find with people that I work with, because often they don't have much awareness of their voice, they're not even aware because they've never really sat with their voice. They're not even aware that maybe their throat tenses when they speak, or their neck is clenching and straining when they speak. So it's only when you bring the awareness inside, you're like, oh, actually my jaw feels really tight. My neck feels really tight. My chest feels really tight. Whatever the thing is for you, then you can start to really work with that, because it's a much better gauge than basing it on how your voice sounds. Because there's no point having a voice that sounds good if you have to strain, squeeze, tense, like strangle yourself to kind of get that sound. It's not going to be a sustainable way of speaking. So it's really, really important that we bring the awareness inside. Also, I think after we've done that initial awareness by listening to a recording of our voice, we then want to bring it inside, because then we can take away that judgment, that critical voice that we all have, and really start to feel into our voice. Because at the end of the day, our voice is really an expression of our feelings, our thoughts, our ideas. It's deeply connected to our emotions, and we have to get still and we have to really bring the awareness inside to really start to experience our voice. And what can happen then is, if we are aiming for a particular sound, we then might try and recreate that at whatever cost. And sometimes, for example, that could look like if you're someone who is trying to have a louder voice, you're trying to project, you're trying to kind of fill a room with your voice. If you're going for a sound, you then might really strain, squeeze, push the voice out to be heard. And you're going to ignore all of that tension and that constriction because you just want that sound. So I promise you, when you go with the feeling, the voice always sounds better. It's going to be freer, it's going to be open, it's going to just work better. So when we go with the feeling, the voice is going to sound better. But what we tend to do is do the other way around first. So I hope that's helped. So I challenge you now, if this is something that you are interested in developing, listen to a recording of your voice just to kind of build some awareness, and then start to feel into your voice. Really start to pay attention to what is moving, what's not moving, what's tensing, what's constricting when I speak loudly, when I speak quietly, like what is happening. That's the first gauge, because when I work with clients, often they don't realize how much constriction they've got in their voice until I give them an alternative way of producing sound. And they're like, oh, and I hear this all the time too, I didn't know my voice was meant to feel this easy. And it is. It should feel easy, it should feel effortless, it should feel free and open. So if it's not, then really start to bring the awareness inside and start to pay attention to how things feel. Then from there, you can work out, is this something that I could work out by myself? Or do I need someone like myself to help me actually really open my voice up so I can reach my full creative potential? So thank you so much for listening. Any comments or questions, very happy to answer them. Please post them below. And if you enjoyed this video, please also subscribe and share. But until then, I will see you on my next video.